Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that has been revealed. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So we talked about this, and then comes a very sweet verse. So here, even today, when we are coming off the verse 10, I'm just doing a quick revision of what we covered last time. Dharma prayojito kaitavo atra paramo nirmit sananam satam vedyam vastam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimadbhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va Parerishwaraha Sadyo Hridaya Varudhyate Atra Kritibhihi Shushubhishtakshanat. So here, this beautiful prayer. So again, it's continuing on the Gayatri meter. So here it is revealing the sweetness of this message of Bhagavatam, which is the culture of knowledge that the Supreme Lord established within the heart of the reciter, Shushubhish. Quickly, one who is eager to hear. But then somebody can say, oh, if it is making someone immortal, if it is revealing the highest truth, it is taking away the biggest disease that I am this body. It's taking away this mindset and helping us situate ourselves in the very true position that we are the eternal seven Jivera Super Krishna Das, which is the toughest disease in this material world. So it must be very bitter in taste, right? That's the normal attitude. So now this is revealed that actually it is very sweet. Nigamukalpataro galitam phalam shukamukadam ritadava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So this is the Nigam is the Vedic literature, the bona fide literature. Uska kalpa vriksha, kalp is desire tree. Again, tarot refers to the tree. Galitam, the fruit of that desire tree, galitam phalam. So this is the mature fruit, not just any phal. It is the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures, and it becomes more relishable if you have a mango, right? And if a bird has taken bite from it, then you know it is very sweet. That's the guaranteed way. And especially if it is a parrot who has taken, then it's like Amrit, it's nectarian. So Shukamukaz, Shukdev Goswami, he's speaking Srimadbhagavatam. So this is Amrita Dravya Samyutam. So it has become like an Amrit, and it's a Dravya, it's a pulp. Now Samyutam means it is fully it is fully testable. There is no defect in it. Because when you take a mango, then there is a peel and then there is a seed in it. Those two defects are there that you have to throw away. You can't eat it. But this fully mature fruit is fully made up of Amrita Dravya Samyutam. It's fully this Dravya. And what is being said? That it is to be taken, it is to be gulped. So food stuff, as we accept those foodstuffs, we accept it in 4 processes. Either we can chew it, just like normal food, chew it with our teeth, or we could gulp it or suck on it. We can lick it and we can suck on it. So again, there are different 4 of them. So we can try to suck like ice cream. When we're kids, we'll suck on it, right? And then we have, we lick sometimes, some of the food stuff. And then this is gulping. So when we get like mango shake and we're gulping it. So that's where it is. And he's saying, Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. That this is relishable, and so including the liberated souls. So the rasikas are the ones who are relishing, who are constantly experiencing this. So here, but then what is the state of people who are not able to relish? Those six defects make us feel very fortunate that, oh, luckily that's not the case with us. And on the same sweetness, this 19th verse is there. Vayam tuna vitrapyama uttam shoka vikrame yashram rasam jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. Vayam means we. So these are the sages at Naimisharanya. They're revealing to Shukdev Goswami. After saying that, there are so many defects in this material world. And why are they saying that? There are two things that are happening. What has happened is that they were performing sacrifice for 1,000 years. And all of a sudden, Sutta Goswami appeared. So, when you are doing all these fire sacrifices, putting oblation in the fire, all this smoke and, the various things are coming up in the air, you're getting covered by all this black or, whatever the ashes from the sacrifices that's going on. So they are engaged in all these activities very heavily. But then when they saw Sutta Goswami, they're like, oh, now we get to hear Amrita Dave Samyutam. We hear the nectarian, we get to relish the nectarian fruit. So they are saying that we too refers to but we, right? So but is like a, and na is not. But what is it that they don't do? Vitrapyama, they never get tired. So they want to hear the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is referred to as Uttam Shloka. But not just Uttam Shloka, Vikrame. Vikrame means adventure, right? So we hear about Vikram and Betal stories, when we were children back in India. So there was this adventurous king who had taken the assignment of taking Betal, which is one of the subtle body being, just like ghosts and others, and wanted to bring it back. So that was the prana, that is the vow he had taken. And so that's adventure. And he was hearing various stories from this Betal. And Vetal was making sure that the king at the end asked questions. And he asked questions, the Vetal asked questions, and the king has to respond. And if the answer is correct, then the king is safe. If the answer is incorrect, the king will die. But then as soon as the king will speak, he will go back to the tree where he got from. So those, they live on a tree, right? Sometimes. So this is the state. But this is the adventures of who? Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is glorified. Shloka refers to the poetry, the sweet poetry. But the best of the poetry is referred to as Uttama Shloka. So the Lord, who is glorified by the best of the poetries, his adventures, his name form activities, pastimes. We are never tired of hearing, relishing those Tachru Rasagyanam. So those are the ones that we Shavatam. Shavatam is that we are hearing, right? And those who knows this rasa, those who understand, so the jnana refers to those people who are aware of this sweetness, this mellow, this rasa. Then what do they experience? Swadu, swadu. So it is very relishable, very sweet. Swadu, swadu is like from swad. Swad is tasty, palatable. So twice the same word has been used. So you can say very sweet and very palatable, very relishing and very enjoyable. Pade pade. At every step by step. So every moment by moment we can understand. So when you're hearing something that is very sweet, then every time you hear the next and the next and the next, event in the adventure, it appears very sweet. So in this regard, there is this beautiful pastime of Punthana. So this Puntharam, he was a great devotee of the Lord. And he would go, there is a Shiv temple where the Shiv temple is only open for a short duration every year. And all the people would go to this temple to worship Lord Shiva. And Puntama would take his Srimad Bhagavatam with him, and he would go and he would read Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the morning, he would go in the river, take nice bath. And so, what would happen? He would take nice bath, and then he would come to the temple and he would put the marker where he was reading from, and he would start reading from that point and then move the marker to the next page. So when he started reading the very first day, he took nice bath, he came to the temple. People loved hearing his sweet narrations, his sweet recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so he saw that the marker was on chapter 60 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, where Lord Krishna is teasing Rukmini. So this, as husband and wife, Rukmini is also referred to as goddess of fortune, because she is actually goddess of fortune, is her expansion, rather. So here we see that Puntanam is reading this story, and basically what's happening is that Rukmini is very submissive, and she is always looking to please the Lord. And when Lord would come back after the long day at work, then all the queens, they would actually want to serve him personally. So Rukmini, seeing the Lord, she welcomes him so that he sits on the bed, and she takes the charmer from the maid, another servant, and then she starts spraying, fanning the charmer to make the Lord feel relaxed and, very nice. So when the charmer is being, fanned, it appears very nice. But then in this particular instance, few things had happened previously. When Devashi Narad, Narad had visited Rukmini, he actually had brought a parijat flower and he gave it to Rukmini. And so Satyabhama, this third wife of Lord Krishna in Dwarka Leela, she heard about it, she became very envious. She's like, oh, she got a flower, I didn't get a flower. So Lord Krishna teased her by saying, why are you asking for a flower? You should ask for the whole tree. She's like, yes, if you are so merciful, then you'll get me a tree. And Lord did give her a tree. So again, Narkasur, Bhaumasur, also same name as the son of Bhumi, is referred to as Bhauma. And because he was a demon, he's referred to as Bhaumasur. So he was killed, and Lord brought back the earrings of Aditi and went to Indralok and gave it to Aditi. And Indra and his wife Shachi Devi, both of them worshipped the Lord. Now, it's very interesting that when Shachi came to worship Lord Krishna along with Satyabhama, who was there, she did not really pay much attention to Satyabhama. Satyabhama noticed that this lady, the wife of Indra, she's wearing nice parijat flower in her hair, but she has not offered me any. And so she felt like, she was not really respected. Sometimes, because she was the real reason because of which Bhaumasur was killed, because Bhaumasur had a boon that he can only be killed by his mother. Now, mother would never kill a child. Everyone knows that. But here, Bhumi is an expansion of Satyabhama. So when Satyabhama, when Lord Krishna showed, like he's slacking, that was his Leela. She actually pulled his hand along with the arrow and shot, and that was the arrow that actually killed Bhaumasur. And so she felt like she has not been respected. So as they were returning back on Garuda, she reminded Lord Krishna, remember the promise you made me? Lord Krishna smiles. He's like, yes, I know. And this is given in length in Padma Purana as well. Yes, it's briefly described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord said, yes, I actually remember that I promised you the whole tree. And so she said, why don't you give me? This is the great opportunity. So Nandana Vatika in heavenly planets, that's where this parijat flower is, the tree is there, which has these parijat flowers. So Lord Krishna uprooted this parijat flower, put it on Garud, and as they were flying back, Shachi, she said to Indra to get back that parijat flower. And Indra and Lord, the person Indra is fighting is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he could not fight with Bhaumasur. He went and took help of Lord Krishna. But just little things happen, and suddenly Indra, to satisfy his wife, is fighting with Lord Krishna. He throws Vraj at Lord Krishna, the thunderbolt, and Lord Krishna quickly catches it. Okay, nothing, because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he says, Indra, and now Indra is feeling very bashful, very ashamed of his action. What has he done? And now that he has lost his best weapon, he's like, there is no hope. So Lord Krishna says, you take this parijat flower, the tree, because otherwise your wife will be very unhappy. Then Indra actually submits to Lord's desire. He says, though, please, it belongs to you, and forgive me for the mistake. Just like he's asked for forgiveness after he did the Govardhan Lila happened, right? When he sent those clouds. So here, Punthanam, so what had happened was, after Rukmini saw that Satyabhama got this whole tree of Parijat flower, now she didn't feel like, that flower she had was enough. She was somewhat angry also, in her heart of heart. Yet at the same time, being a very submissive wife, she was the prime queen, the first queen of Lord Krishna and Dwarka Leela. She did not say anything. And Lord Krishna knew that she doesn't like this, that Satyabhama got the whole tree while she only had one flower. So he's teasing her. He's like, you know what? I'm not so qualified to be your husband. These great warriors were there ready to marry you. And so he's saying such things that I'm actually hiding in the waters. I'm on this island in Dwarka while they have been ruling, and so many other factors, just to make her feel, sometimes husband and wife, they do say such things just in a matter of joking, pulling each other's leg. And Lord Krishna hoped that Rukmini would respond back, with a equally strong answer to this teasing that he was doing. She would tease him as well. But Rukmini, she felt like, oh, Lord Krishna is telling me this so that he's about to leave me. He's about to give me up. And she couldn't bear this. So just by having this thought, she felt dizzy and she fell on the ground. And Lord Krishna immediately came in his forearm form and picked her up and made her sit, and then said, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding with you. I was just trying to tease you so that you would have this nice response. And then hearing that, oh, Lord was just joking. He didn't want to give her association. She actually starts giving responses that actually you are the best of all beings. And your devotees, even though they may appear to be not so rich, they're actually truly rich because they have the spiritual wealth, by taking your shelter. And she responds to everything. So this nice teasing and response is going on. So Puntanam is reading this whole chapter 60 of Srimadbhagavatam 10th canto. Everyone is relishing. So after he's finished the chapter, he puts the mark in the beginning of 61st chapter. And then, they carry out with their daily activities. Next morning, after taking bath, when he comes to the temple, opens up Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, oh, the marker is on chapter 60. I think I read chapter 60 yesterday. But okay, because the marker is on chapter 60, let me read it again. So he recites the whole chapter, again. After the chapter is over, he puts the marker in the beginning of 61st chapter. So that way, every morning on the 5 days, when he would come back, the marker would have moved to beginning of chapter 60. So all 5 days, he was reciting chapter 60. Now, finally, the festival was over, the temple was closed, and everyone was returning back. So he also was returning back, crossing the river. He was going to his village, and suddenly he realized that he forgot his Srimad Bhagavatam in the temple room. Oh, he has to read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. I have to read it every day. So I must go back and get my Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can continue to read. So he comes all the way. And then he sees that the door is closed. So how do I enter? But then suddenly he hears this voice coming from inside. So he's wondering who is speaking, what is going on inside. So he goes and looks through the keyhole. What does he see? He sees that Lord Shiva is sitting there with his Punthanams, Srimad Bhagavatam, and he is reading the chapter 60. And he's reciting as how Lord Krishna is teasing Rukmini and how Rukmini is falling on the ground thinking the Lord is going to give me up. And then Lord is pacifying her. And then she responds back. So this sweet pastime, Lord Shiva is reading. And when it comes to the end, Lord Shiva looks at Parvati and says, Priya, my dear wife, what do you think of this recitation? She's like, your recitation is wonderful, but not like Punthanam's. So again, this is the arena where Punthanam is hearing this, that Lord Shiva is reading, Mother Parvati is hearing, and all these bhutas and ganas, they are all floating in
Can
the
hear you,
around,
Prabhu.
surrounding. Hare Krishna. And they're all listening to Lord Shiva's recitation. And Lord Shiva's glorifying Punthanam's recitation. And then he's like, what am I hearing? And Lord Shiva is saying that Lord Shiva is saying, yes, yes, yes. That's why, Devi, at the end of every day, I would put the marker back on the beginning of chapter 60. Hearing this Punthanam say, oh, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva. He's covering his ears. What am I hearing? Lord Shiva is glorifying. So when such pastime has been revealed, such sweetness is there in Srimadbhagavatam, that every verse, sometimes those words like Prayana Alpayasha Sabhya, to people it looks like they're calling out the defects of this current age. But actually, it's calling out that that is the cause when somebody does not take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, does not take shelter of bona fide scriptures, does not look for one's true advancement, for one's true welfare. And such a person who is completely bewildered, completely disturbed, and very lazy towards spiritual advancement, not very intelligent in putting the effort in the right direction, and thus being misfortune and seeing misfortune day after day, day in, day out. And what will it lead to? Constant disturbance, because one is not able to attain the perfection in this very lifetime. So, Pivat Bhagavatam Amritarasam Alayam. So again, this is where it is said that we have to Amritadava Samyutam. So we have to enjoy this Amrit when we get to enjoy this Amrit when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And so here, in this particular verse, the defects have been identified for those who are distracted, but then those who actually relish the sweetness of this great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, was swadu, swadu, pade, pade, they relish, its sweetness, its palatable, its great taste at every step as we continue to hear the adventures of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this has been glorified, both these verses are glorified by the various sages who are meditating, who are engaged in doing sacrifice 1,000 years. Because now they have seen Sutta Goswami, and they're like, okay, now we don't have to worry about all these fire sacrifices. Rather, we can hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this nectarian pastime will give us the shelter, and also it will provide the shelter of people in this Kali age. Hare Krishna. Devi, would you like to add anything?
Hare Krishna. All right, so I will just quickly summarize everything for benefit of those who joined a little later. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Today, Prabhuji nicely covered the verses from Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 10 and 19. And Prabhuji was actually giving a recap from last 3 verses in the past session of Srimad Bhagavatam Gems. We are taking few verses every time. And I want to just quickly present to everyone, because it will stay most probably, we read so much from Srila Prabhupada's books and it can be overwhelming, yet very pacifying to the heart. It's purifying. So today we heard about defects of Kali age, Manda Sumanda Mateo. So the living entities in this age are less intelligent, they are lazy, they are in distress, they are quarrelsome, they are affected by the miseries, like you nicely explained, 3 kinds of miseries: miseries by mind, miseries by other living entities, and miseries by natural forces, and we also briefly talked about the 4 yugas. And so we were talking about characteristics of Kali Yuga. We don't have hundreds, thousands, or even 10,000s, or even thousands of years. Life expectancy is like maybe around 100, and some don't even reach, that. So after hearing again about the auspiciousness of Srimad, great transcendental literature, Srimadbhagavatam and its glories, and we get repeatedly to hear that this Shravanam and Kirtanam of Srimadbhagavatam is totally nectarian for everyone. And the sages of Naimisharanya, they're anxious to help. Out of their compassion, they want to provide a solution for all the fallen souls, and they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. And as we read from the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, you have nicely explained those who have developed a taste for understanding this transcendental subject matter, they never get tired of hearing such narration. This pastime of Shivji and Parvati, Mother Parvati and Punthanam itself is one of my favorites, and one is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. And especially one specific word caught my attention, which is Uttam Shloka. Prabhupada says Uttam Shloka indicates that the literature which is not meant for nuisance. So it is all enlightening. And so in this way, if we hear the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord, who is glorified by hymns and prayers, the choicest poetry, we will also be blessed with developing a taste for transcendental relationships with him. We will develop the attraction to relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment, like Punthanam was reciting it again and again. So this specific series under the title Deepening Our Faith, clearly, in this we are selecting the verses in which we can deeply understand how the devotees, or all the demigods, all the living entities who love this great literature, which is the spotless Puran. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas. It has the pure and supreme knowledge of Paramhamsas like this. If we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we will read so much, and we will also develop the seriousness to understand, and we will develop the deep desire within our hearts to properly, attentively, incessantly do Shravan and Kirtan with devotion. So at this time, if any of the participants have any comments or any questions, you are most welcome to do so. I think Sharadiya Mataji had raised a hand, so let's first ask her if she wanted to comment anything. Hare Krishna, Sharadiya Mataji, did you want to say something?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Matt, I cannot hear you. After around 7:40, the audio is too low.
Okay. You cannot hear my voice or Prabhuji's voice?
I can hear your voice, but it's like when you're talking far away, I can't understand the words.
Okay. Let us confirm with someone else. Sulakshma Mataji, can you verify? Can you hear our voice?
Yes,
I'm
can
sorry?
hear you. I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear
Niru
me?
Mataji, can you hear our voice? Niru Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Prabhuji, I can hear you both well.
You can hear us clearly. And one more person, whoever, can you please confirm if you can hear our voice?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Sharadiya Mataji, I'm sorry you could not hear us. Maybe it has to do with connection or your setup at your end. Several people.
I don't know what happened. I was hearing well, but around the 7:40, the voice is too far away.
Okay. So anyway, let's move on now. We would like to welcome any of you. If you want to share any reflections, any thoughts, any comments, any questions, We have 10 more minutes to go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Raji
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Raj Prabhu.
Very sweet class, Prabhu. Very sweet class. Wonderful, Prabhu.
Thank you. Where are you joining from?
I'm from Virginia, Mataji. McLean. Yeah. Yeah. My dress sense looks like this. I'm from India, kind of wearing cap and all. Yeah. Prabhu, small question, very small question. The reference came as Indra and his wife Sachi Devi.
Yes.
The question is, Indra is a person or a post?
Good question. So again, we hear about Indra as a position as well, right? Indra is so there are 12 Adityas. Adityas means son of Aditi. Daityas means sons of Diti. So people think, oh, Daityas, demons, and, Adityas are demigods, they're devotees. But in reality, they are called out because of their mother's name. Aditya is sons are called Adityas. The 11th one is also referred to as Indra because he is the king of the demigods. And then we also hear about Upendra. Upendra is the 12th one, who is also known as Vamandev. So Indra is a post, yes. But sometimes a person on that post is carrying out so many activities that it is referred to that person as Indra. And Shachi happens to be the wife. Like somebody says, wife of the prime minister. So yes, we can relate to who was the wife of, India, Narendra Modi's wife is.
At that time, basically.
Yes.
During that period.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. And it's very interesting that it is the same Indra who actually offended Durvasa Muni, because Durvasa Muni, once he was woke. This is how, various pastimes are there, where Durvasa Muni, he was coming back from a great sacrifice he performed, and he had this flower garland, which is a Maha Prasad, right? So he gives this garland to Indra. Indra, as they were crossing the road, he stops, and Durvasa Muni was feeling very nice that I say, Indra, let me give him some blessing, some mercy. That's what Vaishnavas do. So he gave his garland to Indra. Indra, what does he do? Instead of accepting the garland himself, he gave it to Airavat. Airavat takes the garland. He's an elephant. He doesn't know what to do with garland. He takes the garland, stomps on it with
That's it, yeah.
and Durvasa becomes angry. And it's like, you will lose your kingdom. And so many times we see, yes, he is the, king of the demigods, but many times he loses his kingdom. Then Bali Maharaj becomes Indra. So, and also after Vamandev appeared and he won the heart of, Bali Maharaj won the heart of Vamandev by taking that 3 steps vow, fulfilling that. He was given the boon that there is a specific time that he would become Indra of the heavenly planets. So yes, it's a position, but because the same person has been, and if you look at in the Shastras, there's so many times it has been referred, at one place he's referred to as Puranjana. Now, Puranjana, when you look at it from the perspective, the one who is a person of this material world, but the very word Puranjana has also been referred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he appears in this material world as Paramatma, as Super Soul. So sometimes the same name seems to come, but we have to look at the context.
Yeah.
Because then we can relish the sweetness.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes sense, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, any one of you wants to share anything? Any comments? Otherwise, we will conclude this call. Okay, let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times before we end the call.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
not we are reciting this Mahamantra, there's actually one of the devotee I was having conversation with. And it's like, this story happens in Valmiki's life before he became Valmiki. He was, a hunter by the name Ratnakar. And he was killing animals, but he was half killing them. And they were going through misery. So when Devashi Narad saw that this hunter is so cruel, that he is not fully killing. He's like, if you want to kill the animals and birds, then kill them fully. Why do you let them go through such painful cycle? It's like, it has a rasa for me. So sometimes, in this mundane world also, people develop these abominable rasas, abominable mallows that makes them feel good. So then Devashi Narad said, you do know that you are incurring so much sin by killing all these animals, especially torturing them like this. Your sins are multiplying manifolds. So, will your wife and your children, your parents, will they share? It's like, of course, I'm doing everything for their pleasure. It's like, you're telling me that they would share, but have you asked them? So why don't you go and ask them? So he goes to his home and he says, my dear parents, he looks at his old parents and says, if I'm incurring all the sins by killing all these animals and birds, you would share, right? The reactions, the sinful reactions. They're like, no, you as our adult son, it's your duty to take care of us. Why would we share how you, getting the necessary things to sustain us? So he's shocked. Then he says, maybe my wife will share. He goes to his wife. She says, no, you're the husband. You're the provider of the family. That is your duty. How you provide is up to you. So all the actions are yours. But all enjoyment is for us because you have to provide it. His children also the same thing. So he immediately gets detached from his, life in this mundane world. He comes to Devashi Narad. He says, no one is going to share it. I have performed so many sins by killing all these animals and torturing them for in so many ways. There is no hope for me. Devashi Narad said, no. All you have to do is chant the holy name.
Wow.
So he tells him to chant Rama. Now, it's very interesting that we come from Indian culture and the way we say Rama is Ram. So that when we say Ram, the ma is incomplete. We never opened our mouth after saying ma, right? So Rama. And Devashi Narad is trying very hard for this hunter to say Rama, but he's saying Ram. It's like Rama. It's like Ram. It's like, no, Rama. He's saying Ram. So this is sometimes when you go back to India, we like people saying Ram, 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 and they're not opening their mouth. So that Ram is incomplete word. So it doesn't have the full potency because they have not really chanted the holy name, not realizing that the Lord and his name, they're different, they're non-different. So, Nama Chintamani. So again, this is like the, desire fulfilling name, and this is not different from Abhinatvam Nam, not different from the person whose name it is. But hearing and understanding that this person says Ram, 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 not Rama, Rama, Rama. He says, say Mara. He says Mara. He says Mara, Mara, Mara. So it's like, yes, I can do Mara, Mara, Mara. And then if you remove the first Ma, it becomes Rama, 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 Rama. So it's like, yes, sit here and just chant Mara, 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 Mara. So if you remove the first Ma, it becomes Rama, 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 Rama. So he was just chanting Mara, Mara. And he was actually meditating. I have performed so many sinful activities. I'm almost as good as dead. What is the possibility? Even his consciousness that I'm in such a state, having performed so many abominable activities, I'm like a dead person. There is no hope for me. That's how he was chanting. He was not having the chanting that, my dear Lord Rama, please give me shelter at your lotus feet. So his consciousness was in like tapa. It was like, it was burning away all the sinful reactions that he had accumulated. And he was chanting so much so that now at his one place, he's just chanting, he's not moving, losing all hope. He's thinking that this is what Devashi Narad has told me. I'm not going to eat anything. I'm not going to drink anything. I'm just going to chant. He was so absorbed that the anthill starts forming around him. And so Parvat Muni with Devishi Narad, they one day come around, Devishi Narad wanted to see about this disciple who was chanting the holy name. So he could hear someone is saying Rama, 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 but they couldn't figure out. So at that time they realized that there is an anthill from where the sound is coming. So at that time, when Devishi Narad calls out, to this hunter, he immediately, comes out from this ant. But then there's so many ants around, right? And he would be very, very cautious not to step on a single ant. He's like, look at this person, he has purified. Parvat Muni is glorifying that this hunter was killing animals left and right. He was torturing them. But now he has become such a saintly person that he doesn't even want to step or even hurt an ant. And Devishi Narad at that time calls him Valmiki, because Valmika means anthill. So he has come out from the anthills. So that's why he is named Valmiki. And then based on what Devishi Narad imparted, he writes Ramayana. So the play was written, the actors came later on. Lord Ramchandra, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, Sita Mata, Ravan, Kumkarana, Meghnath, all these personalities, they came afterwards. So this was a play enacted on this planet to show us the glories. And Lord is such a wonderful actor. He's like, of all the actors, of course, Lord is actor number one. But people get bewildered. How could Lord Ramchandra be in separation from his wife? He's the Supreme Personality of God, and he's Atma. It is the acting. He's carrying out his character so perfectly as given in Ramayana that people become bewildered. They start thinking that this is Ram. Hare Krishna. I just wanted to share the glories of the holy name as how it can completely transform our hearts. Gantraj Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kore Vaishnavinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Om Tat Sat. Have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Om Tat Sat.
Oh, thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna.